So students, now we will see the experiment on parallel flow and counter current flow heat exchanger. The objectives of this experiment is to study the heat transfer phenomenon in parallel and a counter current flow. So the first aim of this experiment is to calculate the rate of heat transfer. That is nothing but the value of Q. Okay. Then after that we need to find the LMTD for both the parallel and a counter current flow arrangement. So LMTD is nothing but what? It is a log mean temperature difference. And the third aim is to find the value of overall heat transfer coefficient. So we need to find both UI and UO, which is inside overall heat transfer coefficient, and another is a overall heat transfer coefficient with respect to the outside area. So that we need to find both for the parallel and a counter current flow. And third one is we need to compare the performance of a parallel and a counter current flow heat exchanger. Now this is the front view of our setup. So here you can see that at a bottom here we have the hot water tank. Now at the back of it there will be the heater which will be able to heat the water inside it. Now this is the magnetic pump which is able to circulate the hot water through our double pipe heat exchanger. So this is our double pipe heat exchanger. It starts at this end and it will end over here. Okay. Now the hot water is circulating from inside pipe or inside a tube of the double pipe heat exchanger, while on a outside pipe there will be the cold water. Now here we have the two rotameters. So this rotameter is for the hot water and this rotameter is for the cold water. Okay. Now here you can see that we have the two valves. So this valve V2 is for the hot water flow control valve. So if you want to control the flow rate of hot water in your tube, then we need to use this valve V2. And this V3 is nothing but the bypass valve. So when we use the bypass valve, if you want to direct transfer this hot water to this tank, that is a hot water tank, then in that case we need to use the bypass valve. Now this is our control panel. In this control panel we can actually set the temperature of water inside this hot water tank. Okay, so generally we set it in a range of 40 to 80 degrees Celsius. Then here we can see the inlet and outlet temperature of both the hot water and the cold water. So they will be displayed on this control panel only. Now this is the top view of our setup. So here we can see that in a top view we will be able to see this is our double pipe heat exchanger. Then this is the inlet line for a water. Okay, so from this line only the water is coming. So you can see that we have the temperature sensor over here and we name it as a T3. So T3 is the inlet temperature of a hot water. Now to this cold water, Now to this line we have the two outlets. So one with a valve V4 and another with a valve V6. So if you want to operate the double pipe heat exchanger in a co-current manner, so in that case what we need to do? We need to open this valve, we need to close this valve, and we need to close this valve, that is nothing but the V6 valve, and we need to open this V4 valve. Then what will happen? The fluid will enter at this end and it will travel in this direction and ultimately it will coming over here. So what will happen? As this valve is closed, V6, so fluid will not be able to move in this direction, but fluid can move in this direction. So in that case, we need to open this valve V5. So for the co-current manner, we can operate it in this way. Then if we want to operate it in a counter current manner, okay, so in that case what we need to do? We need to close this valve, that is a V4. We need to open this valve V6. Okay, so fluid will directly move through this line and ultimately coming over here. Now what we need to do? We need to also close this valve V5. Then the fluid will enter at this end and it will travel towards a left and ultimately it will come out from this line. Okay, so that is how we will be able to operate our heat exchange, double pipe heat exchanger in a co-current and a counter current manner. Now this is the procedure which we need to follow to operate our double pipe heat exchanger. So first of all we will see it for the counter current mode. Same types of procedure can be followed for the co-current mode. So what we need to do? We need to ensure that first all the valves are closed. So whatever the valves are there in our setup from V1 to V8, all the valves should be closed. Then after that we need to open the lid of a water tank. We need to fill the water in it and then again we need to place back the lead in its position. Then we need to ensure that all the switches on your control panel should be in a off position. Okay. Then after that we need to supply this electrical energy to our setup. Then with the help of our control panel, we can set the desired temperature of a water for a hot tank. So generally we set the temperature between the 40 degree to 80 degree. So in between any temperature one can set. Then after that what we need to do, we need to open the valve V3 and switch on the pump. Okay, so V3 is nothing but the recirculation valve, so that we need to open and then we need to switch on the pump. Then after that we need to switch on the heater and then we need to wait ki we will desired temperature will be achieved. Okay, so once the desired temperature is achieved, then after that what we need to do, we need to connect the cooling water supply to the setup. So as we are going to take the water from a tap, so cooling water setup we need to do. Then after that we need to collect the outlet of a cooling water to a drain. So we need to collect all the hot water, that is the cooling water which is coming from the setup, so that we need to pass to the drain only. So that connections also we need to make. Then after that we need to open the valve V6 and V7 and we need to start the circulation of a cold water, and we need to adjust the flow rate of cold water also. So that can be done with the help of our control valve V1. Then we need to allow the hot water to pass through the heat exchanger, and we need to adjust its flow rate. So we can adjust the flow rate with the help of the valve V2 and V3. So after that, once we achieve a steady state conditions, okay, so at a steady state condition means when our temperatures or our flow rate doesn't change, they are constant. Okay, so that we called it as a steady state condition. So at that conditions we need to measure the flow rate and we need to measure the temperature. Okay, so once we have done with that, then after that we need to repeat this experiment for a different flow rate of a hot and cold water and for the different temperatures also. Okay, so this is how we need to perform this experiment. So once we are done with performing the experiment, so this is the closing procedure which we need to follow. So what first thing we need to do, once we are done with the experiment, so we need to close the heater, matlab we need to switch off the heater. Then after that we need to switch off the pump. Then we need to stop the cooling water supply, and ultimately when the temperature of the hot water goes down, so we need to drain the hot water with the help of the valve V8.
Good morning students. Today we are going to discuss about the double pipe heat exchanger. So this is the setup of the double pipe heat exchanger. Here you can see that this is the overall setup of your double pipe heat exchanger. Here you can see that at a bottom, this is our the hot water tank in which the heater is being placed. Okay, and with the help of the heater we can increase the temperature. While here you can see that this is the pump, this is the magnetic pump which is used for the circulation of hot water. Okay, and here we can see that here we have the rotameter for measuring the flow rate of hot water and the cold water. On this side, here you can see that this is our double pipe heat exchanger in which two coaxial pipes are there. Now here we can see that this is the hot circulation line. Here you can see that this is the hot circulation line through which the hot water is being coming, and at this end the hot water will be coming out. For the cold water, here this is the inlet of the cold water through which the water is entering in your double pipe heat exchanger. So here you can see that this is the inlet, we can see it from the front, and it is coming to this rotameter, and from here this is the outlet line, and then the cold water is coming over here. So from here it has a two outlets, one it is going here and another can be going at the opposite end. So when you want to make the cold water to flow in the co-current direction. So in that case, you need to keep this valve open while you need to keep this valve closed. So now we are operating our double pipe heat exchangers in a co-current manner, and for that we will be taking the reading. Now here we have the panel through which we can take the reading. Now here you can see that here the one is being displayed, so it indicates the inlet temperature of a water. Here you can change the set point. We have given the set point of the 60 degree Celsius. Okay, if I want to know the T2 temperature, so simply I need to press on this button. So here I will be able to see the T2 temperature, which is the outlet temperature of the hot water. Then if I want to see the T3, so here we can see that T3 is 28.5 degrees Celsius. So after stabilization, only one need to take the inlet temperature of a cold water. Then after that, here we can see that this is the T4, which is the outlet temperature of the cold water.
Now we will see the observation and the calculation. So this is the data which is available to us. The inner diameter of a tube is a di and its value is 9.5 mm. Then the outer diameter of a tube is represented by a DO and its value is 12.7 mm. The length of the tube, we represent it as a capital L and its value is 1.6 meter. Then we need to take or prepare this observation table. So what it consisting of? It consisting of serial number, then hot water side, FH is the flow rate of a hot water and its unit is a liter per hour. Then T1 is in a degree Celsius. T1 is the inlet temperature of a hot water, while the T2 is the outlet temperature of a hot water. In the same way, for a cold water side also, FC is the flow rate of a cold water and its unit is again liters per hour. Then T3 and T4, these are the inlet and outlet temperature of the cold water. For a counter current flow, we have to prepare the same types of table only here, but only change is for a cold water side, here you can see that the outlet temperature, we represent it as a T5, okay, and its unit is also degree Celsius. So only one difference we need to remember: for a parallel current flow, the outer temperature or outlet temperature of a cold fluid is T4 degrees Celsius, while for the counter current flow, the outlet temperature of a cold fluid is a T5 and its unit is also degree Celsius. Now after that, this is the calculations which we need to do. So here we will see the calculations for a parallel mode. Same types of the calculations we have to perform for the counter current mode as well. Now here the first is the TH, that is a capital TH. So capital TH is nothing but what? It is the average temperature of the hot fluid. So we know that T1 is the inlet temperature and T2 is the outlet temperature of a hot fluid. So T1 plus T2 divided by 2, this will be the average temperature of a hot fluid, that is a TC. In the same way, for TC, T3 and a T4 is the average temperature for the cold fluid. So TH is the average temperature for the hot fluid and TC is the average temperature of the cold fluid. Then at this average temperature, we need to find a physical properties of the water. So rho H is the density of a hot fluid water, or that is nothing but the hot water you can say. So this value of the density and the specific heat can be collected from the standard handbook. So we have the Perry's handbook from where we can collect the physical properties of almost all the fluids. So and here we have the CPH. So CPH is nothing but the specific heat of the hot fluid. The unit of specific heat is a joules per kg degree Celsius. In the same way, we need to find the value of the rho C and the CPC also. Now here it is the capital MH. So capital MH is the mass flow rate of the hot fluid. So how we calculate it? we need to multiply the volumetric flow rate of the hot fluid with the density of a hot fluid, and that we need to divide by the 3600 and the 1000. Okay, so that is how we will be able to calculate the mass flow rate of the hot fluid, and its a unit will be the kg per second. Now why we have divided by the 3600? So only reason behind that is our flow rate is in the liters per hour. Okay, so at the denominator we have the unit of hour as a time. Okay, so that we want to convert it to the second. So that's what we have done. We have divided by the 3600. Okay, then and this 1000 because our flow rate is in the liters per hour. Okay, and we want to convert it into the meter cube. So that's why we need to divide it by the 1000. Then after that, here we have the QH. So QH is nothing but what? It is the heat exchange, or you can say the heat transferred by the hot fluid. So its the equation is what? Is very simple. That is the mCp delta T. So here we have written mH. mH is the mass flow rate of the hot fluid. Cph is the specific heat of the hot fluid. T1 minus T2. So T1 is the inlet temperature of a hot fluid and T2 is the outlet temperature of the hot fluid. In the same way, we have done the calculations for this MC, where MC is nothing but what? MC is the mass flow rate of the cold fluid. So for that the equation is Fc into the rho C, where Fc is the volumetric flow rate of the cold fluid and rho C is the density of the cold fluid. Then we calculate the value of the QC, where QC is the heat energy taken by the your cold fluid. Then after that we took this average. So average of the heat flow is nothing but what? We represent it by the Q, where Q is nothing but the QH plus QC divided by the 2. So we got the average value of the heat exchange between the hot and the cold fluid. Now after that, for the parallel mode, we have to calculate the value of the delta T1. So delta T1 is nothing but what? It is a T1 minus T3. Okay, where T1 is nothing but the inlet temperature of the hot fluid and T3 is nothing but what? It is the inlet temperature of your cold fluid. Then delta T2. So delta T2 is what? It is a T2 minus T4. Then once you got the value of delta T1 and delta T2, so here we will be able to calculate the delta Tm, and delta Tm is what? It is a log mean temperature. So as we know the value of delta T1 and delta T2, we will be able to calculate the value of this log mean temperature difference. Then after that, you need to calculate the value of the UI. So UI is what? It is the inside area of the tube. So its the equation is what? Pi DIL. So we know the value of pi, then Di is the inside diameter of the tube, its value is also given, L is the length of the tube. So we will be able to calculate the value of this UI. In the same way, we need to calculate the value of outside area of the tube also, that is the AO. So AO is what? AO is the pi DOL. So we know the value of pi, that is a 3.14 DO, that value is also given, and L is the length of the tube, its the value is also provided to us. So we will be able to calculate this value of the UO. Then after that, we need to find the value of overall heat transfer coefficient, that is the UI. So it is with respect to the inside area. So UI is what? This is Q divided by the AI into delta Tm. So we know the value of the Q. We have calculated the value of the UI also, and we know the value of the delta Tm also. So once you all know all this value, you will be able to calculate this value of the UI. In the same way, we will be able to calculate the value of this UO also. So it is what? Q divided by the AO into the delta Tm. So once we're done with these calculations, for the parallel mode or the concurrent mode, we need to put this value in this table. So this is the calculation table for the parallel mode. So here you need to write the serial number, matlab the reading which you took. Then QH is the heat load which you have calculated. Over here you can say. Then QC, we have done the calculation, that is the heat taken by the cold fluid. Then you need to write the average value of the heat exchange. Then we need to maintain the log mean temperature, and this is the UI, that is the inside overall heat transfer coefficient with respect to the inside area, and the UO, that is the overall heat transfer coefficient with respect to the outside area. So this is how we need to do the calculations for the parallel mode. Now we will see the calculations for the counter current mode as well. Now here again we need to follow approximately the same procedure. Then you need to find the value of the QH, so TH, so that can be found from the inlet and outlet temperature of the hot fluid. Then we need to find the value of the average value of the cold fluid, that is the TC. So that is T3 plus T5. where T3 is the inlet temperature of the cold fluid and T5 is the outlet temperature of the cold fluid. Then at this average temperature of a hot fluid and the cold fluid, we need to find its densities and the specific heat. Okay, once we got them, then we need to find its a mass flow rate. Then we need to find the value of the QH, that is a heat exchange. So same calculations we have to done for the cold fluid also. So we will be able to find this value of the QC. Then we need to find the value of this Q, that is the average temperature. Then we need to find the value of delta T1 and delta T2. So here we can see that delta T1 means what? It is a T1 minus T5, while the delta T2 is T2 minus T3. Then we need to find the value of this log mean temperature difference, which depends on the delta T1 and delta T2. Then we can find the value of this UI, that is the inside area and the outside area. This value we have actually already calculated over here, but we are doing this calculations for the counter current mode, so we have shown it in it as well. Then we need to find this value of the UI and the UO. So UI and UO are what? These are the overall heat transfer coefficient. And after getting this data, we need to put it in this tabular form. So this is how we need to do the calculations for the co-current and the counter current flow. So here we will see how to find the value of the densities from in the Perry's handbook. Suppose we want to find the value of this rho H. So here you can see that now this is the table for calculation of the density of a water. So here he has specified the range from 0 to 100 degrees Celsius. Now suppose that at a 30 degrees Celsius, I want to know the density of a water. So here you can see that here you can get a different range of the temperature, and here you can see the increments. Okay, and this is the density and its a unit is kg per meter cube. Now suppose that at a temperature of 30.3 I want to find the density of a water. So here you can see that this is the 30 and 0.3 is written over here. So I will come at this value. So this is what? This is 995.556. Okay. So this will be the density of a water at a temperature of 30.3 degrees Celsius. So in the same way, we need to find the density at any required temperature. And suppose we want to find the value of this specific heat. So for specific heat, here you can see that we have this table, and this is our component, that is a water. Okay. So for this water, we get a value of this constant C1, C2, C3, C4, C5. Okay. And for calculation of the density, we have this equation, that is the equation 1 of the heat capacity. Okay. So we want to find the heat capacity over here. So what that equation is? Equation is C1 plus C2T plus C3 into T square plus C4 into the T cube plus C5 into the T raised to the power 4. So we have to use this equation for calculation of the specific heat. Okay. So for that, the value of the constant is being available from this table. So here we have this value for the water, and the temperature, whatever the temperature is there, that temperature you need to convert into the Kelvin, and we need to substitute it over here in place of this capital T. Okay, so that is how we will be able to do the calculations for the specific heat. Now here we have one sheet, Excel sheet, where we have done the calculations. Now here you can see that this is our observation table. So for parallel mode, we have taken the reading of the flow rate of a hot water, then the inlet and outlet temperature of a hot water, in the same way flow rate of the cold water, inlet and outlet temperature of the cold water. So we got a 2 reading. So here this is our first reading. The flow rate of hot water is 150. Inlet temperature of a hot water is 57.9 degrees Celsius, while the outlet temperature of a hot water is 53 degrees Celsius. The flow rate of a cold water is 80 liters per hour. The inlet temperature of a cold water is 28.2 degrees Celsius, and the outlet temperature is 38.2 degrees Celsius. Now this is the equation for, that is TH is equal to T1 plus T2 by 2. So this is the equation of average temperature of the hot water, and this is the average temperature of a cold water. So what we have done, we have taken this value of hot water, that is a 57.7 plus 53, and from there we got this average value, that is a 55.5 degrees Celsius. In the same way, we calculate the average temperature of the cold water also, so it is coming to be the 33.2 degrees Celsius. So we got this value 33.2 from this inlet and outlet temperature, that is a 28.2 and 38.2 degrees Celsius of the cold water. Then we convert it into the unit of the Kelvin. So what we have done, we have simply added the 273.5 in this temperature. So we will be able to convert it into the Kelvin. Then what we have done with the help of the Perry's handbook, we took a value of the density. So the density of a hot water, that is at a temperature of 55 degrees Celsius, we got a density to be the 985.454 kg per meter cube. In the same way, for a cold water at a temperature of 33.2 degrees Celsius, we got a density to be the 994.637 kg per meter cube. Then we calculate the specific heat. Now this is the equation of the specific heat. We took it from the Perry's handbook again. And this is the value of the constant C1, C2 to C5. Okay, so for water only we have written this value. Then we calculate the value of the specific heat for the hot fluid, that is the water. So we got its a value to be 72,273.4745 joules per kg degree Celsius. And for the cold water, we got the value of specific heat to be the 75,281.8298 joules per kg degree Celsius. Now this is the equation of the mass flow rate of a cold water. So we got a mass flow rate to be the 0.0221 kg per second, and the mass flow rate of the hot water we got to be the 0.041 kg per second. Then we calculate the heat load. So equation of heat load is mCp delta T. So that we have substituted over here, and we got this value of a heat load for the cold fluid. So it is coming to be the 16,639.58 watt, that is a joules per second. And for a hot water, we are getting its value to be the 15,144.79 joules per second. Then we took the average value of this heat and we got it to be the 15,892.13. Then after that we calculate the temperature gradient, that is a delta T1 and delta T2. Now as our flow is a parallel flow or the concurrent flow, so here you can see that this is the inlet temperature of a hot fluid, that is a T1, and a hot fluid is coming at another end and its temperature is a T2. For cold fluid, here you can see that the inlet temperature is a T3 while the outlet temperature is a T4. So delta T1 is what? It is a temperature difference between this T1 and T3, while delta T2 is what? It is a temperature difference between T2 and T4. So we got the value of delta T1 to be the 29.7 degrees Celsius and T2 is 14.8 degrees Celsius. So from there we calculate the value of the log mean temperature difference. So we got the value of log mean temperature difference to be the 21.39 degrees Celsius. Then we calculate the inside area. So we got the value of inside area AI to be the 0.048 meter square. Then we calculate the value of the outside area. So we got it to be the 0.064 meter square. Then we calculate the value of this UI, that is the overall heat transfer coefficient with respect to the inside area. So we got its value to be the 15,565 watt per meter square degree Celsius. And the outside area, outside heat transfer coefficient with respect to the outside area, so we got it to be the 11,643.34. Now we got such a high value of the overall heat transfer coefficient for only water. Okay, so only reason behind that is the tube which we have used is the copper tube, which gives a very high thermal conductivity as compared to the stainless steel or the steel which is generally used in the manufacturing of the tubes.